Hello and welcome to Outdoors and That. In this video we're going to be looking at off-track walking, and we're doing it in an easy environment. So here we've got relatively open bushland. We can see the land features pretty well, so that's a good place to start. We're also contained in a known area so that if we do get lost or confused, it's not that far to walk out in any direction to the nearest road or urban feature to help us relocate ourselves. So off-track walking, this is number 8 of our 11 video series on navigation, and let's get started on this one. So when you're planning your route, there's a few techniques to look at, and so for this walk I wanted to walk up Old Joe Hill. I also like walking in a loop, so I'm not covering the same ground rather than going out and back. And then you might want to include other features or views along the way. And so for this walk, the car park is down in the bottom left here. What I wanted to do was to work my way up the hill, gain some elevation, and then traverse across this ridgeline here. And so to do that, I got to this point in the track, and then I planned to go across country on a bit of a contour up to this saddle, which is a nice and defined feature in the landscape. Then I did some more contouring across rather than walking up the hill, because I didn't really want to go up that with the extra elevation. So I contoured across to my next saddle, which was a really known feature, and then I walked along the top of this ridge here and then up Old Joe Hill. With the off-track sections, I'm looking at finding defined features along the way so I can check in my progress. So I'm going to leave from an obvious feature on the map from the urban section, like this corner in the road, and then I'm going to head to really known locations here, and then finally up to the top of Old Joe Hill. Using known locations, really defined features, whether that's a knoll or a saddle or a defined ridgeline. Really easy way to make your track walking less challenging and easier to undertake, with less decisions to make along the way. So you're just decreasing the amount of decision making, the amount of really fine and accurate navigation that you have to do by using those larger features. And even though it might be a little bit further to say go up to here rather than doing the contour across, if you wanted to make it easier on yourself, then yeah, navigating to the top of the hill was a really easy thing to do, and then you can just walk along the ridgeline there. And so using the features to your advantage is one of the techniques in planning your route. Other thing to think about in this area is that I always wanted to stay on the right hand side of this road here, and then I had another major road down towards the south and another major road across to the east. And so those were some features that I knew that if I'd come across one of those, well, then I was well outside of my planned walk area. So while I'm doing this route, how do I keep track of my location? Well, one of the ways you can do is to just draw on your map. And if you've got a photocopy of your original map that you use to work on your particular walk, and then I often carry the original with me as well, that means that I'm free to draw all over it. I can, mark out the track where it went, point out key features, and then work my way along the route which I was planning to take. And so that's one of the things that you can do. And then as you're working away at that route, you can maybe do a little circle to indicate the features that you've ticked off. So, I was there, and then I was here, and then I was here. And so that's keeping track of your location. If you're walking all the time with the map, the other way you can do it is to just, when you're holding your map, is to just hold it at the point that you last were. And then when you move to the next point, you can hold your map at that point. And so that's called thumbing the map. So you're just using your thumb to hold your last location on the map, and then it makes it easy when you pick it up again to just go, all right, I'm right at my thumb. I don't have to try and find myself on this whole section. If you're using a GPS or some kind of device like that, well, then that'll have a little indicator for where you are on the map at a particular point in time. But then you also need to be able to interpret the contours and land features to help you choose the best path through that environment. Right, so to walk in a straight line, we're going to pick a point such as the tree, which we can see up there, and then I'm just going to walk up to that, and then I will choose another tree on the other side. So let's start, walk up to this tree. All right, so I just walked from down there in the open section up to our fork tree. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna line up that and the tree and another feature up this way. I line myself up with the two features that I just walked from, and then find another feature off in this direction. We'll turn around, and it's a bit hard to see, but I can see through here is actually a boulder in the distance, and we'll walk up to that, and then that will be the next feature in the line. And so here I'm able to walk in a straight line using trees or features or land features to stay in a dead straight line through the landscape. Right, so that was the tree I was standing at. I've just taken a few more paces, and if we turn around and then zoom in, you can see the boulder which I spotted off in the distance there. And so that's my next feature to line up with, and we'll walk up there, and then we can choose another feature which lines up the boulder and the tree, and that will keep me leapfrogging in the same direction that I want to travel. All right, so here I am at my boulder, and if I turn around, I can look all the way back down there, and just down there is the tree that I started from. And so I've kept myself in a straight line from that tree to the boulder, and now I can go up over the other side of the boulder, and I'll choose my next feature which lines up with the tree behind me and the boulder, and then giving me the direction out in this way. I can keep walking in a really straight line using this technique. And so for using this walking in a straight line technique, using the features or trees to leapfrog your way across the landscape, it doesn't matter if you're using a compass or if you have just chosen to walk in a particular direction to hit a feature that's further off in the distance, but this is just a really easy way to keep you walking in a straight line, and you don't have to be following your compass for every step that you walk along the way or keeping track. You can just walk from boulder to boulder or point to point, tree to tree, and that will keep you in that straight line. So here we're going to use a technique called contouring. So we could walk up and around and down to the saddle, but instead we're going to try and keep it even height along the side of this hill so we don't gain or lose any elevation, and meet up with the saddle on the other side. So here we are contouring. We were just on the ridge over there, and we've made a straight line over here, and so we haven't lost any height even though we are on the side of a hill, and we'll continue along the side of the hill this way till we reach the saddle on the other side. So our contouring is going really well. We've been coming along at this even height, and now the ridge on the other side of this hill is coming down, and we're going to meet it up in the saddle over there. So one thing you have to be really careful of when navigating is, even if you do have a compass bearing that's say off in this direction, when you're actually navigating your way through the bush, you have a tendency to walk in certain directions. So especially if you're walking across the slope, then it becomes more evident. So my tendency here is to actually step to the right and up the hill, and then I'd walk up to the next tree and I'd step to the right and then up the hill, and I keep following that pattern. And as you see, then I end up off track. And so what I have to consciously do is work out that I need to walk up, and then no, I don't want to turn right and up the hill and then keep going. I actually need to turn left and then go along the hill to keep on the same contour or bearing that I'm following. And so that's something I have to consciously think about all the time to make sure that my underlying biases of where I'm wanting to walk is not overtaking the route that I actually need to walk. How do you find out what your biases and contouring tendencies are? Well, to do that, you need to walk through the landscape and then look back at where you've been. So if I walk up through the trees here, then I'm going to pick my way, and then when you look back at a known location, you'll be able to see whether you actually drifted off towards the left or to the right, or up the hill or down the hill. And then in the next leg that you do, then you can incorporate that knowledge in. So have a go at doing that, as well as just choosing a path, doesn't really matter where, but through the bush where there's lots of decisions to make about stepping up the hill or down the hill, and also around a bush or above a bush or around a tree. And so you're really playing into all these micro decisions which you make when you're walking, but they will over time lead to a tendency to drift off in a certain direction from your planned route. This was looking at off-track walking in an easy environment, and so Your task now is to undertake an off-track walk in an open woodland setting without too much scrub or trees, so it makes it a bit easier to work out where you're going. Then in the next video, we are going to be looking at thick scrub and night navigation. So really honing in on those techniques that you're using at the moment to improve your exact knowledge of where you are, and then focus on walking in a much more difficult environment. So check out that one over there. And thanks for watching, and have a great outdoor adventure.